What's up, guys, and welcome to my top 10 worst films of 2017. If you haven't already checked out my top 10 favorite movies of 2016, that is up on this channel now. Now we're talking about the pieces of crap that came out this year. Okay, let's not take too much time on this because, you know, going back thinking about some of these movies is just, it's not fun talking about them. You know, my reviews for these movies are up on my channel, so if you're interested, you can check them out. Let's start with just dishonorable mentions. I only have two, being The Boss Baby and The Mummy. I really didn't like The Boss Baby at all. The more and more I think about it, and The Mummy was just, you know, it was pretty dull, and it was just, you know, nothing very memorable. So that's the dishonorable mentions. Okay, let's get into this. My 10th least favorite movie of 2017 is
finally have a chance to do something that matters.
Now this might shock some of you. Yes, Downsizing is number 10. I just literally saw this movie days ago, and the more and more I think about it, I say, you know, I really liked the first 45 minutes of the movie, but the last, like, hour plus of the film, for me, takes such a dive, and it's so just boring, and just, I didn't care. You know, I didn't feel like they did a good enough job for me to actually care about what's happening. You know, it's just a lot of weird stuff and stupid stuff that I just didn't buy into, and I literally kept looking at my phone every 10 minutes to see if the movie was almost over, because it was dragging like crazy. So, Downsizing is number 10. Moving on to number 9.
Come on, baby.
Geostorm is number 9 on my list because this movie's plot, it's like it was written by a 3-year-old that just sniffed some expo markers. It's the stupidest thing. It's you know, the weather is being controlled, and now someone has, you know, set this thing up so he's hijacked the weather, and now there's going to be catastrophe. Gerard Butler has to go into space and fix the problem. It's really stupid. And involving all this, there's a kidnapping of the president. If you want to see that, you could watch like National Treasure 2 or something, an actual good movie. This, you know, it's laughable. It takes itself seriously. This movie doesn't poke fun at itself. It literally takes itself seriously the whole time. And like the last monologue of the film by his daughter, and then the movie ends, and it's so cheesy, and it's just like, okay, that's it. That's out of my life. Now let's move on to number 8.
Five, don't do it. Don't you do it. It's already been in there once.
I was actually surprised, you know, when making my list that the Emoji Movie is actually, you know, pretty far down on it. I mean, number 8's not that high up on the list. So, that just means there's, you know, 7 more movies that I thought were worse, which is a big surprise because the Emoji Movie, you know, it makes you more dumb watching it. It is like just telling you that technology is, you know, running the world, and all these kids are just texting on their phones, and it's stupid. And then you go into the actual world of the emojis, and it's like the most, you know, atrocious thing. You have this character played. He's meh, and he has other emotions, but he has to be meh, but he's a hard time. You know, the emoji has emotions, and that's just, you know, just saying that, it's like, you know, why did they make a movie about this? It's like ridiculous. It's just, I don't recommend it to anyone. I mean, it's really bad. Okay, so moving on to number 7.
I'm gonna count down. I'm gonna do it.
Please, please.
199.
Snatched is a movie that I went into that I hoped I would get some laughs out of. I hoped it would be a good comedy of the year, and it just turns out for me it is, yeah, it is the worst comedy of the year of all the comedies I've seen. Snatched. This movie, it's like stupid. Amy Schumer is playing herself, but she's like a bumbling idiot, and it doesn't work. Like, she's not very sophisticated, and when she is sophisticated, you could tell she's really trying, because she just wants to get back to that slapstick, stupid, humor or whatever she's doing. Her character makes stupid decisions in this movie. Her mother in the film, played by Goldie Hawn, she was fine, but the situations they're put in are just so stupid and so dumb and so ridiculous that after the movie ended, I couldn't wait to just forget about it. Until now, I had to bring it up. So, moving on to number 6. That's right, Transformers: The Last Knight doesn't make the top 5 worst of the year, but it does come in at number 6. Michael Bay's movie possibly got worse than Age of Extinction, and it got worse than Revenge of the Fallen. I actually, like the first one for what it is, and I really like the third one. I think the third one is a fine movie, actually. But this, he decides to change the aspect ratio so often, and it cuts so, there's one scene that I remember that stuck out to me. It takes place in an elevator or something, and there's a robot that comes in and it's like fighting Mark Wahlberg or whatever, and the thing gets thrown out the window or whatever the case is. All I could remember is every time it cut, it would go big, small, big, small, big, small, big, small, and it was making my head hurt. And this would happen consistently through the film. I would have to walk. I walked out like 3 times during this movie just to take a break from the film. This is not a good movie. I don't plan on ever seeing it again. And if I do, I'm walking out of the room because it's not good. And I hope that they don't do a Transformers 6 with Michael Bay. And if they do, it's just going to be the same crap over and over. And this one didn't even make as much money as the other ones. So maybe they'll finally learn their lesson. Okay, moving in to number 5.
Bye-Bye Man.
The Bye-Bye Man is one of those stupid horror movies that come out with a stupid plot and horrible acting and just cheesy lines and everything bad about it. The only really good thing about the film is, I believe, Doug Jones, who is playing the monster, the creature in the shape of water. He's playing the Bye-Bye Man in this. I believe it's the same actor. It's crazy that he has one of the best movies of the year and one of the worst movies of the year out. It's really sad. This movie it's so sad. It's so laughable. Some things happened in this movie that I remember laughing in the theater watching it because it's so absurd and so ridiculous. And it's not scary. There's like a scene when the camera pans to the wallpaper and we're supposed to be afraid of wallpaper. And then it cuts to the next day. And it's like they're saying, don't say it, don't think it, don't say it, don't think it. Well, if you're saying that, you're obviously thinking it, not to think it. It's the stupidest thing. This was also written by a 5-year-old who sniffed some Expo markers. So that's the Bye-Bye Man. It's number 5. Okay, my 4th least favorite movie of 2017 is...
You think you're the first woman who's tried to save him?
Thinking back on it, 50 Shades Darker is probably worse than the first film, 50 Shades of Grey. At least that film had some sort of like a story and some sort of a plot, which was pretty bad and pretty poorly executed. But this, she wants to, he comes back to her and she's just like, okay, I'm going to be back with you. But something along the lines of, she says no rules or whatever, and 20 minutes later she's stuffing something up her, that he makes, her put in, and then they go to a little dinner party, and then finally they sit down at the table and she goes, oh, I feel them or whatever. And it's like, why didn't you feel them when you were sitting down, in the car on the way to the place? It's the stupidest thing. The movie tries to be sexy, but it's not. Every time there's a sex scene in this movie, they play music that is so absurd, and it's like you're watching like a music video, which is also supposed to be an amateur porn. I am not expecting anything from the third movie. Seeing the trailers, they are really trying really bad. That's number 4. Okay. Moving on to number 3.
So, mate, is there anything you want to tell us?
The Circle with Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. I'm thinking to myself, what in the world was the purpose of this movie? Now, I know that there's a book apparently that's good, which I can't even imagine, because this movie is horse manure. People are excited about losing their privacy. It's so weird. It's so dumb. Things that happen in this movie. There's horrible ADR in this movie. The dialogue that's additionally added. It doesn't sync up with their mouths. There's one scene with Eller Coltrane. He's talking to Emma Watson. And you could clearly tell his mouth is moving. And it's a shot from behind his head. And his mouth is moving, but it's not syncing up to what he's saying. This movie's atrocious. It's bad. The stupidest things happen in this movie. It's like they try to get excitement. You know, it's like John Boyega is wasted in this film. I hated this movie. I don't like thinking about it. I don't like talking about it. So, let's move on to number 2, which is another movie that I don't like talking about.
It's just never enough.
Now, 2 and 1 are pretty interchangeable for me. I mean, there was a point where I had this at number 1, and there was a point I had my number 1 at number 2. But at the end of the day, I chose Mother at number 2. I mean, if you guys like this movie, this could be in your top 10 of the year. I don't know. But for me, this movie doesn't have a plot. It doesn't. I don't care. It's a metaphor. She's representing Mother Earth, and he's representing God. Okay, fine. But there is no plot at all. The last 30 minutes of this movie, you could obviously see there's no story. Nothing in that movie led to this ridiculous crap that's happening. I'm sorry. And the people in this movie are idiots. There's one bit where there's people sitting down on their cabinet or their sink or something, and she's going, "Could you please sit down?" And he doesn't get down. And she goes, "Could you please get down?" And he's like, oh, he's like a kid. He's still jumping, he's bouncing, and the thing breaks. It's like, you know, people don't act like that. And if they do, there's something wrong with you. But almost every other human in this movie acts like that. I get it. It's a metaphor. But this should have been a short film if you're going to do a metaphor. This cannot be a feature film with characters that don't even have names. Alright? I'm sorry. This is a horrible film. This is not a film. It's an idea. This movie didn't know what it wanted to be. There's no plot at all. I don't care. It's a metaphor. I hated it. Leave me alone about it. Alright. Moving on to my least favorite movie of 2017.
Is that all you got? Because if it is, I'm gonna have to kill you.
Resident Evil, the final chapter, is the worst movie of the year. And you can't really even see it half the time, because every time there's an action scene, they felt as though they needed to shake the camera, and then in the editing room, they felt as though they had to shake. The camera's already shaking, and they feel like, okay, let's have a second shot here, and then let's cut, and then let's cut again. So it's like shaking, shaking, cut, shaking, shaking, cut. You can't see what's happening in half these action sequences. You see the before, and then you see the after. You don't know what happened. There's a scene when there's a creature running towards her, and it cuts to the creature, cuts to her, cuts to the creature, cuts to her. I was literally it was giving me a headache. Watching the film was straining my eyes. And that's why I picked this as the worst movie of the year. Because it literally made my head hurt. This is not a fun movie to actually sit there and consume with your eyes. Because I got a headache sitting there. And I was fine the whole day. And I was sitting there watching that movie, and I had to walk out and like get a drink of water or something, because the movie was literally taking all the energy out of me. And it's a dog crap movie. It's a laughable movie, and that's it. That's my top 10 worst movies of 2017. Guys, comment your thoughts. What do you think? What is your least favorite movie of the year? What's your top 10 worst of the year? However movies you've seen, rank your worst. do what you got to do. You could also subscribe to this channel for everything coming in 2018. It's you know, thank you all for watching. If you have been watching my videos for however long you've been watching them, I always say this at the end of every year. Thank you for watching. It means a lot to me. I just love sitting here talking about movies to you guys. I've been doing this for over 5 years, and you know, I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I love doing this, and I love having a conversation about films. So thank you very much for watching. And I just want to say two of my most films that I was most disappointed by this year. I just thought I would throw it into this video. Is Murder on the Orient Express and Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Two of the films that I was so disappointed by. And that's it. They didn't make the dishonorable mentions because they're not horrible movies. And they didn't make my top 10 worst. But I just felt like I should mention them. They're disappointing movies that personally I was on the brink of really just disliking altogether. Guys, that's about it. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. The links to those are in the description of this video. I hope you all have a very happy and safe New Year. That's it for me. Over and out.